rest. I am Dr. Jerry Williams. I'm the director of the Creative Writing Program and the faculty advisor for the Carson Review. And I want to say just right up front here that if the Carson Review ran over your dog in one of its limos and killed it, we apologize. All right? Just want to put that out. So every year we have a magazine class in which we put this together, and the students who are in the class are listed in the contributing editor, no wait, that's somebody else, in the student editor section. And you know, they do everything. They screen the pieces, they choose the pieces, and then they preside over the printing of the magazine as well, and then it shows up here in boxes, and we put it out and have this reading. Abby is here. And in the class, our own Kat Dale served as teaching assistant for me, and it was indispensable for the class, totally indispensable, and I just want to shout out my appreciation for Kat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce the readers who are going to come up and read either prose or poetry to their liking, and yeah, we'll proceed. God, now I don't know how to say this. Elise Abbate, wow, is a sophomore at MMC studying writing and dance. She is honored to have the opportunity to share her work with the Carson Review's readers, that's you all, for the very first time, and hopes to do so again in the future, weather permitting. In the meantime, she hopes you enjoy what she's written. She also sends her thanks to her other Carson Review team members for making her time working on the magazine a memorable and inspiring experience. Elise.
Hi, Elise. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Jerry.
You got it.
I know, it's okay. I'm going to start on page 13 with my poem, Sisterly Love. Her bedroom door's creak breaks through the silence as the pale light of the hallway parts and a soft purr fills the air. She's on the prowl. Gliding across the vast, fur-peppered floor, she sneaks around the kitchen island and pries at the fridge. Its cold mist seeping into the air as she swats through its crowded shelves. In a blink, she's now at the counter pouring milk when she flashes me a look, a knowing look. I intrigue her like a trespassing bug on the ground, a pest she must eliminate. She's on to me. A light, swift dart moves her across the room's threshold, and before I can realize, she's at my side, pursuing further inquiry. I, bracing for impact, utter a meek "what?" as if that will stop the piercing and frankly accurate accusation being thrust upon me. Now, near bursting my bubble, she stares carefully a moment, until concluding that yes, I am wearing her Ray-Bans. She smiles, baring her fangs, an expectant warning smile, and she wants them back. Her pupils shrink to thin black lines, zeroing in on the prey she's now struck fear into, ready to attack. When I refuse, she snaps. Her usually soft body curls itself around my compromised frame, disadvantaged by my lounging on the low couch, and her unexpected strength. I feel my ribcage folding in ways it probably shouldn't, while her claws grip and tear at my skin. I respond with a jab to her nose, successful at sending her into retreat, but paired with the most regretful declaration. I'm telling Mom. Parasitosis, which is on the next page. You crawl across her skin under the fabric of her clothes, gracing her microscopic hairs as you move. Darting past mosquito bites full of repulsive residue, you jest at her discomfort despite being clawed at by chewed-up nails and calloused fingertips. You're like poison ivy, a shiny ground dweller, deceiving, seemingly innocent, but leaving behind swollen, erupting blisters. You are the fibers of her decaying wool sweater, banished to the back of her closet. Her prickles her arms like fiberglass when she wears it. Etching at her body, you're the hives from the dry grass she laid her bare back on as she watched the clouds. You're the pollen slipping unsifted through each flowery breath to her choking throat in spring. The cheap perfume irritating the soft inner tendon side of her wrists is you. You're her too tight ponytail, irritating her scalp. You're the relentless nosy tag sewn to the inside of her favorite shirt. And when she yearns to go home, exhausted and out too late, it's you. She's tired of you. Great, and the last one I'm going to read is No Running on that page. I am the killer of fun. I wield my P-less Fox 40 against their play with no remorse. Its sound pierces the air, two short blasts that debuff their voices and force my charges' attention to me, their great oppressor. I guillotine their bright recreation, and with squinting eyes they peer up at me atop my glowing hooded throne, expecting demand. Most with their mouths agape, drooling their bubbling mystery gob, and dripping soppy drops where they've stopped in their watery tracks. I order them to exit, by stair or by ladder, as the slick concrete slabs are too dangerous to scale freely. Some oblige, many rebel. They press on, ignoring my demand, regarding it as a measly request, to which they need not respond. It takes two more blows and my own booming voice over their whining cries of protest to remind them who holds their fates. They concede, file onto the deck, and study their ranks, awaiting their release.
Bobbi Baitey graduated with her Associates in Musical Theater at the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. Oh, that's cool. And is a recent graduate of Marymount Manhattan College. That's this place. Their BFA in creative writing. She intends to apply to a master's program abroad after spending the next year building on a collection of her most promising writing pieces.
Hi. I'm going to be reading my fiction piece, Dylan's Window. Dylan's window follows Tori, a young woman whose little brother Dylan passes away. And while she knows that he's dead, she sees and talks to him every time she steps into his old bedroom. As Tori battles the loss of her brother, guilt, regret, and Dylan's inconsistent presence become the new world Tori finds herself trapped in. It's on page 52. How did I die? Dylan asked Tori for the 100th time. I already told you, Tori replied. Yeah, I know, but you didn't give me many details. Tori felt the overwhelming urge to hold her brother, though she knew she wouldn't be able to. She was able to make small contact at times with a surplus of effort, a pat on the shoulder, a poke in the chest. But whenever she wanted to hold him, their bodies fell through. You must get bored staying in here all day, Tori said. That must be why you're asking for all this information. Not really, Dylan responded. I'm not here unless you are. Tori's stare hardened, and Dylan knew she didn't understand. It's like I'm a flame. When you come into the room, you light the match, and I'm there. But when you leave, you put me out. Okay, but where do you go when I put you out? Dylan thought for a while, but couldn't seem to find a concrete answer. I don't know. Nowhere, I guess. It's almost like I'm here solely for you. Tori was taken aback by Dylan's words. She hated the idea of Dylan being something she conjured up and not his own. She wondered if the only way for Dylan to be free was if she stopped going into his room at all. Maybe this is what he needs, for me to let him go. Tori sat on her bedroom floor with her legs crossed into each other, the way she often did. Her journal sat on her left thigh while her pen scribbled in her right hand. She felt her hand pulsate as she squeezed the pen inside its grip. Her fingers cracked and her palm burned, but she couldn't stop the pressure. She watched her pen push into the journal and bleed across the page, and when she tried to lift her hand, she could only manage to stare at the black blood pouring down onto her inner thigh. She hadn't set foot in Dylan's room in over a week, and though she knew it was for the best, she was going crazy. Dylan couldn't follow her outside his room, but she still felt like he was everywhere. When she scribbled in her journal, she was sure Dylan would carve his fingers down into her spine, reach inside her and pull her soul out whole. She imagined he'd throw her to the ground and take her body for himself, wearing her skin like a costume. And though she feared this, she also knew the world was better off with him inside that fleshy suit. She thanks God that Dylan wasn't like any other ghost she had heard or read about. He was nothing like the ones in movies who followed the protagonist everywhere they went and slowly began to notice the parts of their loved ones' lives they had never noticed before. She wouldn't have to go on some life-altering journey. Her neighbors wouldn't see her talking to herself. And Dylan wouldn't suddenly obtain wisdom that he was far too young to have. No. Her patterns, her thoughts, her secrets would remain her own. Still, Tori couldn't fight the feeling that her secrets would make their way out. Every time she thought about Dylan, every time she dreamt, every time her sister came knocking on her door, she was sure someone would find her out. Thank you.
Olivia Burrett was interested in writing from a very young age. And you can walk out.
Okay.
Johnny Carson used to say, you want to get to the podium before the applause dies down. Very old reference for us foodies. And her story, Sunshine for Breakfast, won the it won the Dintna Leonard Award in Fiction. Woo.
Thanks, guys. So, my story, Sunshine for Breakfast, I'm going to be starting halfway down page 69. And in short summary, it is a story about a family of dysfunctional vampires living on a bayou in the 1960s, like through the lens of their eternally teenage daughter who is starting to question the way their lives work. All right, cool. Truthfully, it's a splendid evening. The air outside is sweet, sickeningly so. It is nothing like the sour air which keeps me captive during the long days. The moon hangs in the sky like a great ball of cheese. The stars are candies joining the feast. If I could be fed by the sky and nothing more, I would never want for anything. Frustration boils in my stomach, alongside the real hunger. No, not tonight. Tonight, I don't mind the cramps in my stomach or the dizziness that will certainly creep into my skull. I will feed on peace just once. My fingers graze across the water. The chill of it washes through my skin, all the way to the bone, and then something fat and slimy rolls against my thigh. With my light beginning to fade, I start slapping my palm around in an attempt to find the culprit. With all of that slapping, it takes me a moment to realize that my hand is now covered in thick liquid. I strike for more light, and in the glow, I lock eyes with a frog. A very dead frog, that is. The liquid is blood, of course, and I can feel my stomach groan once more. Try as I might to deny what it yearns for, I cannot help but notice the plump belly of the thing. Rusty drops leak slow and cold from the corpse like honey from the pot. Pa has always kept us fed right. He says eating wild beasts isn't the way of things, and that whatever makes up their blood could kill us. Though always curious, I've believed him, even in times where starvation felt as real as the hair atop my head. Now, though, I can't help but truly wonder. Perhaps it's my displeasure towards my father, or the shame he has made me feel. Perhaps it is an unnatural desire for something fresh. Before I know it, I am bringing the splayed and pallid creature to my lips. At first, the mucus alarms me. It clings to my mouth like a cobweb. Getting past the texture, I can allow my teeth to melt right through the thin flesh. Unlike the meals I am so accustomed to, the frog feels clean. There is no grease, no sweaty aftertaste. The blood is cooler, more refreshing. In less than 30 seconds, my companion is nothing but a shriveled piece of tissue, tiny in the palm of my hand, and no bigger than a quarter. The nighttime light is beginning to fade, and I wonder how long I have been sitting out here. Then, as if my mind had been speaking aloud, I hear the sound of the dinner bell echoing through the trees. My breath quickens, and without thinking, I shove the remains into my pocket. The bell keeps on with its stinging and donging, urging me to hurry on up. I quicken my pace, clutching my treasures close to my chest. The wild beast was nothing but delicious. My tongue flicks around as I continue towards the bell, and searches for juicy scraps between my teeth and gums. The wild beast was only a frog. When I fed, it was quiet. It isn't until I reach our front door that I notice the rumbling in my stomach has ceased entirely. My body feels so full, like there's a weight finally anchoring me to this plane. The walls are buzzing as I step inside. For a house full of dead and dismantled things, the air is very much alive. I stumble slowly into the kitchen, and the first thing I notice is the lack of a tablecloth. Our food is strapped to the bare table. We respect our food, the mantra rings around in my mind. Well, not tonight, it seems.
Newcomer Cat Dale is a senior who finds God in the Winter's Tale mosh pits, cut-up band t-shirts, and while waiting in line for Shakespeare in the Park tickets. Ask them about the Marymount Literary Society, their years working on the Carson Review, or what it's like being Alexa Ramirez's imaginary friend.
Hi, thank you all for coming. Everybody worked really, really hard on this edition, and I'm so proud to be able to present it tonight. Like I said, thank you so much for coming, for supporting us. I worked on the magazine for 3 years, and I'm about to graduate, so this is kind of an emotional night for me, and I'm glad you're all here to share it with me. Yeah, literally just thank you. We couldn't do it without you guys who are constantly submitting, and all the student editors who work on the magazine and who work just so hard to get this to come to fruition. It's a very long process from first deciding how we want the email for submissions to look to, getting the boxes in the office and being able to hold this magazine in our hands. So we all appreciate you guys a lot, especially me. Yeah, so I'm gonna read a little bit of poetry and then I'm gonna read a little bit of fiction. I'm starting on page 31. This is a poem called 5 Places I Looked for You After You Died. 1, the laundromat. The subway runs by and the whole room rattles. Do you know the girl with the blue hair? I ask the woman sitting by the back counter. She can't hear me, but she nods anyway. I speak up. She died, I say, mimic shaking a bottle in my hand. Pills, I tell her. I over-enunciate to compensate. She doesn't have your flannel. I leave. 2, my desk. A sage green sticky note stays stuck to the tabletop. Call me later, you wrote, with a green glitter pen. I hope I called. I hope that I called you and you told me something gentle. I hope you told me about the statues at the museum and not just as a primer for something sharp. 3, your little sister's apartment. She opens the door and I look through her for you. Her deep hazel eyes and honey highlighted hair. Her corporate blazer and vintage Burberry bowling ball bag. Behind her in the doorway, a Jewish doctor perches in a gold frame. She looks through me for you. My bitter blue eye bags and blown out tattoos, a tattered old t-shirt and a pair of purple bootlaces. I search, I study, I survey, I pray, I come up empty. She does too. 4, the bathroom mirror. My eyes unfocus, refocus. The tile feels cold on my blood-stained hands, unfocus. Did you even think about me at all? A switchblade and an electric hair razor sit on either side of the sink, refocus. The razor rasps and my hair falls into the sink, unfocused. I can't find you anywhere. 5, my dreams. I hear you speak to me, your sweet words and strong voice. You ask me to follow you, and I have to. There are no other options. Bag by bag, bottle by bottle, I make my way to you. The big blue sky pops like a bubble and I fall out. My skeleton shatters on the sidewalk. We start over again. Now we are moving into fiction on page 77. This piece I'm very proud of because it got me into a couple of graduate programs, one of the few pieces I submitted. You're not going to get a synopsis because I'm going to read the very beginning with the hope that you want to read the rest on your own later tonight. So yeah, I'm on page 77. This is the beginning of Little Miss Nevada. Above the TV in Danny's childhood home hangs a 4-foot-tall professional headshot of him as a toddler, taken in the dress he wore when he won his first Ultimate Grand Supreme title at 3 years old. 20 years later, after tearing his first body apart and building himself a new one, he stands in the living room as the sun goes down, staring at this portrait of a long-forgotten little girl. The dress was white, hand-rhinestoned, and cost his mother close to $4,000. He remembers being told that there was no acceptable reason to lose a pageant when he had the most expensive dress in his entire category. Danny was worried about his spray tan rubbing off on the corseted back through the entire competition day. He feared what his mother would say, already accustomed to being her daughter. Beautiful girls did not let their tan ruin their dress. Beautiful girls did not throw tantrums over hair pieces. Beautiful girls always took home a title. In the picture, his Coca-Cola colored hair is covered at the crown of his head by a 22-inch curly hair fall, and his skin has been airbrushed to make him look like a doll. Even his eyes, naturally a dull brown, have been digitally altered to look a sparkling emerald green. Danny reaches out to touch the photo and leaves greasy fingerprints on the glass frame. He can't say, with any real confidence, whether the toddler in the photo ever really was him. Dragging his boots against the dirty beige carpet, Danny walks into his old bedroom and flicks the light switch once, twice, 3 times. When nothing happens, he moves to turn on the bedside lamp. Just like with the photo, he stands blankly in the middle of the room, combing the scene for evidence of the man he is now, tucked underneath posters of pop stars, pageant sashes, and half-empty bottles of Hawaiian Tropics sunscreen. Danny thinks about the thousands of dollars in cash and oversized checks he was forced to pose with as a child. All that money, never used for college on account of good scholarship, now funds his mother's 24-hour care in a memory loss facility. She spends her days demanding to speak to the husband who left her 15 years ago and doing puzzles to keep her dull mind sharp. Danny spends his days on the other side of the country, taking the L train to his bartending shifts and trying not to think about his mother or her Alzheimer's. Thanks.
Geneva Leer is a writer who thoroughly enjoys 70s music, spoons. I wonder if that involves playing the spoons. And coffee.
I'm gonna start off with Buzz. It's on page 34. The pills taste like vanilla, forcing their way down your throat like 3 dozen clunky stones. Settling in your stomach, they disperse and heal your disease, life. You walk past the threshold, bright bathroom to dim bedroom, easing into your final repose. Sweet and faint aromas scale your throat like a reaper, haunting each breath. You start to feel it now, catching fire, incinerating a body once yours. It is rebirth, a new form to welcome death, replacing brain tissue, skin, blood, maggots, crawling, craving. A mere whisper away from the end, yet you've never felt more alive. Because vermin are abuzz, excited, waiting for shared death, basking in the finality of it all. Your eyes lose their focus, bouncing from corner to corner, unsettling, unnerving, embracing. If the eyes are the window to the soul, then your last secret is kept. No savior will come from milky eyes. You don't want one, do you? You want to feel it? Every creature's writhe and hiss, nerve firing, spasm, tremor, until you don't taste vanilla anymore. I'm gonna read the one on the next page. It's called Music to Mine. I craved it, and not just in my ears. They would only abandon me to atrophy, hyperacusis, simply the ticking of time zone. So I felt first melody in warm, pulsating blood, the rhythm of an irregularly beating heart. Synchronized with my capricious life. Feedback rang in my skull. Frenetic drums replaced old fills and clam. Even my heavy breathing transformed. The vocalist used my own lungs to sing his ballad. Just a cup of coffee in the morning led me back to that tremble, then up the treble. I found myself facing a speaker tall and boisterous as I, reflection of sound itself, unescapable, until I've hemorrhaged, enduring crimson streams cascading out of each orifice, ears, nostrils, eyes gone vacant. Pale filter from a tunnel for the trickle, drawing vapid lips to the eruption. But even after death, I'll still feel it. I'll bleed music like bodies grow nails and hair once a soul leaves. Lie still where the once rushing rhythmic river becomes a slow stream, a symphony of red to reach the soil beneath my collar.
Minty Nguyen is an inspiring writer and storyteller, studying 2D animation and creative writing and pursuing jazz musicianship. Also an advocate against generative artificial intelligence.
I just want to say this is really cool, and I've never done anything like this before. And like before college, I hated poetry, and now with the help of Yauri, I like fell in love with it, and this is cool standing here. I'm gonna read my first poem, Hate, on 38. I was told that hate was a trait too strong, and that I should use the word dislike as if that isn't more doormat and condescending. So this piece is a tribute to those who are unpretending to the emotion that is most taboo. I hate rich people, I hate dumb people, I hate people who body block the elevator door, I hate people who walk slowly on the sidewalk. I hate waking up early, I hate sleeping late, I hate seeing cops look at me after I hop the turnstile. I hate accidentally stepping in some crosswalk bile. I hate the idea of money, and I hate how I don't have much of it. I hate pretentious poets who use I statements as if it hasn't been done since the first Egyptian hieroglyph. I hate my evil exes. I hate New York tourists. I hate dumbass writers who curse on their shitty poems and think they're so fucking clever. I hate racist dimbos. I hate Nazi dimwits. I hate remembering good times with a friend I used to like. I hate realizing how awful someone is after befriending them. I hate myself for thinking this. I hate myself for writing this. I hate how hate hates any mental reason, but I hate not hating more. I hate haters that hate to fit in, but I hate not fitting with them more. I hate getting bullied, then asking my mom what was the freedom for. I hate seeing mistreated people and asking what are they sinful for. I hate. My next poem is on the next page, and I wrote this in my dorm's basement janitor's closet that I practice in, if that helps give context. Musician's Tribute. Equipped with my brass horn, I forget the likeness of myself outside this practice room. A Cosmo latches onto my sheet music and forms a scattered notes. There's a soreness from my neck to my nails like a glissando. Ferocious when I misplay, I say sorry, imbued with guilt for the neighbors near me. I slow my tempo, but my throat is still as dry as an open heath. There's zinc and copper clasped against my two front teeth. Galaxies away from having half-decent abilities, my energy is focused to build some consistency. Melancholy from last recital, I tell myself I will never be good enough, as I handcuff a woodwind to the blood behind my fingertips. Laminated by the planets of melodies, I'm donned with the jazz I invoke that feels free.
Alexa Ramirez is actually Cat Dale's imaginary friend. She studies literature, writing, and American history. She holds immense gratitude for her professors and advisors from the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, as well as the visionary team of editors at the Carson Review. Hail Marymount Manhattan College. That's funny. Alexa also won the Dimpna Leonard. No, wait. The Joseph. It's like you see, we should have edited it out. It's just off. The Joseph P. Clancy Award in poetry. That's Dirty Joe Clancy for people who don't know.
Hello, everybody. The first time I actually came to a Carson Review reading was 4 years ago when I was still a senior in high school. I received an invitation in the mail to come to the reading, and I decided to take the train up here. I was already accepted to the program, but coming to this reading when I was like 17 years old was the first time that I actually felt like I could make my life at this college. I remember that at that reading I was introduced myself to Dr. Julie Huntington, who then introduced me to Jerry Williams, and we had a brief conversation that I know he doesn't remember because I barely remember it. But yeah, I'm very proud to be a Marymount Manhattan College product. I will always I will always carry this school with me even after Northeastern decides to chew us up and spit us back out. Anyway, I will be reading my poem on page 41. This one's called The Nürburgring. The car exploded when the 19-year-old Frenchman took too fast around a corner named after a dead German, Hockeneichen, reminiscent of an era when cars were harnessed with brittles and horsepower engines that neighed. The 19-year-old was the second Frenchman to die like a German. The first Frenchman trained like every other Frenchman, who fueled his youth hunting for a winning drug, sold to him by an Italian just down the straightaway. A lap of the gods. Then the fresh, hot tarmac chewed his tires raw and galloped him into a wall, directed into heaven under a delayed red flag with just enough time to clear the debris and watch the Italian win the championship. But the 19-year-old had died under much more appealing circumstances. Up in flames large enough to cover the television screen, and a hot oil blaze dripping onto concrete like a mechanical baptism. The French placed Alpine flowers at Hockeneichen, and the distant hum of La Marseillaise was suddenly interrupted by the roar of a new engine. So, my next poems are just on the next page, on page 42. This one's called Pine Barrens. I met him at the liquor store in the strip mall, the one between the taqueria and the nail salon, while I was picking up a 6-pack of Modelo for Luis's fourth birthday party. He was in front of me in the line for the register, wearing a corporate vest and a cowboy hat, a sinister smile, and yellow-green eyes. He turned around, White Claw in hand, and said he liked my El Camino. He spoke like a true fresa, so I let him drive it back to my place and left his EV charging next to the dumpsters in the parking lot. I asked him if he was new in town, but he said he'd been here forever. He's related to the cop that haunts the spot across the smoke shop, and even knows my abuelita's priest. But he had an unholy way of moving me across the mattress, and a white boy tan that beat him red, so I christened him Jersey Devil. And then my last one called Pit Stop, which won me the Joseph P. Clancy Award in Poetry, which I'm very grateful for. Okay. We take a pit stop in Monaco where capital turns the tides and sleeps from every broken seam of your cardinal suit. We argue over the shade. Not everyone can pull off red. The lights in Monaco never go out, and we're steered into a sports car paid for by your smile. I think about the consequences of crashing, but lose my thoughts in Riviera waters, secrets that are left under the sea. You're suited for sweltering summers under a Spanish sun, always seizing the opportunity to take your shirt off. Trophy scars from dogfights and sidewalk brawls displayed where tan muscles meet the indent of your spine. Awards for your quick-bite ego and tallies of breakneck hunts. I like Brazil because the country is beautiful and it was the first place I laid with a man. A selfish pursuit spurred by my newfound identity and an internal search for something great. I'm back again with you, and the trees look greener than I remember. It always rains in Sao Paulo, and driving in the wet is all puddle-soaked tires and heavy air. Remember the speeding ticket? You don't let me forget
it. Abby Vasquez did the cover for this issue. And Abby's here. You want to say hello? Or take a bow? Actually, take a bow. And the reason why, and what was the medium? I don't think
this was charcoal and acrylic and watercolor.
Okay, good. Thanks. I've been here since 2004, and this is the very first time that the person who designed the cover has ever come to a reading. Never happened. They're invited every year, and they actually, once they get their $100 check, we literally never hear from them. So, thanks for being the first. Catherine Yauri is a freshman at MMC from Queens, New York. When she isn't writing, she's sure to be nose deep in her annual reread of Emma. She is studying history and psychology. Oh.
Starting on page 112, City Dwellings, I'll read 2 pages of my creative nonfiction piece. A rite of passage between children of immigrants is the first pilgrimage to their parents' native country, but there is usually very little to be said after. I can recall recess friends complaining about the dirty tap water in Mexico, or how their pronunciation of gracias was subject to ridicule. These weren't life-changing or revolutionary trips, but tedious things one had to endure every now and then, like completing laundry or jury duty. And at 13, I had been summoned. Having been raised in New York, I was afflicted with the unavoidable superiority complex that develops as a result of city living. New York was all that I'd ever known, and I was content that way. I had no desire to see the suburbs, let alone the rural streets my dad escaped from. Though in retrospect, I believe all of this surfaced to keep buried the real reason I didn't want to go. I was ashamed. My Spanish was poor, barely enough to keep a conversation. My tan a deception of identity, like a spotted bull mistaken for a cow. It didn't matter that we ate the same food or shared the same nose. We lived polarizing lives in separate environments. I was determined that our detachment was irreconcilable. In reality, I could not have been more mistaken. Dele was a small town located in the high Andes. My grandmother's house looked like every other on the block. Open-air courtyard and weathered stone walls. The streets were always empty, except for territorial strays roaming for scraps and old women cruising the town square, dressed in long, thick skirts and colorful shawls around their shoulders, the town uniform. It was a stark contrast to my blue jeans and American Eagle hoodie. My parents told me to think of it as an adventure, like a sailor embarking on a voyage. To me, it felt more like I was plucked from the comfortability of heat-insulated rooms and dropped in the middle of an already inhabited island, in which I bore a strange resemblance to the occupants, but nothing else. The purpose of this great voyage was not merely a humiliation ritual, but to pay my grandma a visit. My grandfather had died a few months back, and though my dad returned for the funeral, he wanted to check in on her again. With all their children having fled the continent, they only really had each other, and now my grandma was alone. We arrived on a cold Monday morning. The first thing we did after unpacking our things and accepting my grandma's offer of tea was visit the cemetery where my grandfather was buried. My mom was suffering jet lag, and so she stayed behind, leaving just me, my dad, and the awkward walk ahead of us. We left immediately after, me trailing behind him like a freshly hatched duckling. The clouds were so thick they looked like fog. Dad said it always looked like this. I wanted to ask if he'd made this walk before or if he knew anybody from his childhood here, but I did. The cemetery was nothing like I expected. It was gigantic, spanning miles into the distance. I thought about the graveyard near our house back in New York, and how, despite its size, each gravestone kept a few feet of distance between its neighbors, cramped but cozy. Here, it seemed that for all the space the cemetery had, tombs were stacked atop one another in large concrete boxes, like modern-day mummies. We continued our walk, my eyes occasionally wandering off to catch glimpses of the stories the tombs told. 1741 Kishpi, 1889 Inca. I didn't even notice when we arrived. My dad just stopped, his arms to his side and his face unreadable. Jose Coraisaka Yauri, the cement slab read. It didn't look any different from the others. The tomb was prepared decades in advance, I assumed. There.
Thank you for coming. I want to give a special nod of acknowledgement to Janet Simmons and Zara Elizabeth Coombs, who had work in the magazine as well, but they can't be here to read it because they are currently incarcerated at Bedford Hills Women's Prison, where Marymount has a degree program. They're both seniors. Janet Simons won the John Costello Award in Creative Nonfiction for her essay, Morbid Little Tykes. So congratulations to her, and congratulations to the both of them for the work in the magazine. Please take some cookies home, and thanks for coming.